Have you felt your grown children pulling away, leaving you wondering where the warmth of yesterday vanished? Are your messages left unanswered and family gatherings feeling emptier by the year? What if the very words slipping from your lips, meant to bridge the gap, are instead carving a deeper divide? Today, I'll uncover 5 seemingly harmless phrases that aging parents often use, unaware of the silent havoc they wreak on family ties. Embrace yourself. Phrase number 2 holds such destructive power, it could sever your bond indefinitely. Let me share Margaret's story. At 75, this retired teacher from Austin watched helplessly as her 2 sons drifted further from her life. Weekly calls dwindled to monthly check-ins, and holiday invitations were met with vague excuses. Margaret's heart ached, convinced her children no longer cared, until a candid talk with her daughter-in-law revealed the shocking truth. "Your words hurt," her daughter-in-law admitted, "even when you don't mean them to." Confused, Margaret sought guidance from a family therapist, Dr. Thomas Green of Stanford University's Center for Aging and Relationships. In their sessions, Dr. Green pinpointed phrases Margaret used daily, phrases she believed were harmless, even loving. These expressions, he explained, carry hidden barbs of guilt and judgment. They don't invite connection, they push it away. Margaret committed to change. Within months, her sons began texting more freely, visits grew longer, and laughter returned to their reunions. Her story isn't unique, it's a wake-up call. By the end of this guide, you'll know exactly which phrases to purge from your conversations and how to replace them with words that heal, not harm. Let's dive into these silent relationship killers before it's too late to mend what's broken. Toxic phrase 1. After all the sacrifices I've made for you. Have you ever let these words slip out in moments of frustration, hoping to remind your child of your love, only to watch their face harden in response? What feels like a plea for recognition often lands as a weapon of guilt, corroding the very bond you aim to strengthen. Dr. Laura Simmons, a family dynamics researcher at Columbia University, warns that this phrase reduces parenthood to a ledger of debts. When parents frame care as a transaction, she explains, children stop seeing love and start tallying obligations. Resentment replaces gratitude, and connection becomes a chore. Take Helen, a 69-year-old retired nurse from Miami. For years, she'd remind her daughter, a busy marketing executive, how she'd worked double shifts to fund her Ivy League education. "After all I gave up for you," Helen would say, "you can't even spare an hour for lunch?" Her daughter, overwhelmed by the unspoken debt, began canceling plans altogether. Every visit felt like a guilt trip, she confessed during therapy. "I loved her, but I couldn't breathe under the weight of her expectations." With guidance, Helen learned to reframe her needs. Instead of weaponizing sacrifice, she now says, "I love our chats. Would you be open to a weekly coffee date? I'd treasure that time with you." The shift was profound. Her daughter no longer felt cornered, and their relationship blossomed into one of choice, not obligation. Parenting is a gift, not a loan. Your children owe you nothing for the love you freely gave. Drop the scorekeeping and watch connection flourish. Toxic phrase 2. Your partner is isolating you from us. Imagine your child's eyes narrowing as you suggest their spouse is the reason for their absence. A single sentence that could unravel decades of trust. This accusation, often disguised as concern, strikes at the heart of your child's autonomy and marriage, leaving scars that may never fully heal. Dr. Emily Carter, a family conflict specialist at Yale's Family Studies program, emphasizes the danger of this narrative. Blaming a child's partner forces them into an impossible loyalty test. It's not just criticism, it's a declaration that their judgment and love is flawed. Over time, This erodes trust and breeds defensiveness. Consider Richard, a 71-year-old retired engineer from Portland. Convinced his son's wife was stealing his family, he'd mutter remarks like, "You never missed Sunday dinners before you married Clara," or, "I suppose she'd rather keep you all to herself." What Richard didn't realize was that his son shared these comments with Clara, straining their marriage. The final blow came when Richard confronted Clara at a family barbecue. "You've turned him against his own blood." That night, his son sent a terse email. "We need space indefinitely." For 2 years, Richard missed birthdays, holidays, and the birth of his granddaughter. Reconciliation only began after therapy, where Richard admitted his fear of irrelevance. Now, he starts conversations with, "I admire how you two support each other. Could we plan something together that works for your schedule?" Questioning your child's partner insults their ability to choose love. Celebrate their marriage, and you'll become a safe harbor, not a storm. Toxic phrase 3. "Back then, we did it the right way." This nostalgic remark, dripping with generational pride, might feel like harmless wisdom, but to your child, it's a quiet dismissal of their choices. Whether discussing careers, parenting, or lifestyle habits, comparing then and now frames their modern approach as inferior, sparking defensiveness instead of dialogue. Dr. Karen Wright, a generational communication expert at UCLA, clarifies the damage. When parents glorify the past, they unknowingly invalidate their child's reality. It's not just about methods, it's about respect. Children hear, "Your world is wrong," and shut down. Take Martha, a 72-year-old former teacher from Denver. She frequently criticized her son's tech-centric parenting. "Back then, we didn't need screens to teach kids manners," she'd scoff, watching her grandson play an educational game. Her son, a software engineer, grew defensive. "Mom acts like I'm failing because I don't parent like it's 1985. Tensions peaked when Martha insisted her granddaughter's anxiety could be fixed with stricter discipline, ignoring her son's preference for therapy. "You're raising a snowflake," she snapped. Her son stopped sharing updates altogether, leaving Martha in the dark about her grandchildren's lives. A turning point came during a family mediation session. Martha learned to replace judgment with curiosity. Now she asks, "I'd love to understand how this app helps the kids. Would you mind showing me?" The shift opened doors to collaboration. Her son even incorporates some of her discipline strategies, blending old and new. Your child's world isn't wrong. It's different. Bridge the gap with curiosity, not comparisons, and your wisdom becomes a welcome guide, not a relic. Toxic phrase 4. "You always put others before me." Declarations like always or never might seem like honest expressions of hurt, but they act as emotional landmines, igniting defensiveness while burying genuine connection beneath rubble. Dr. Michael Torres, a psychologist at Harvard's Family Dynamics Lab, warns absolutes erase context. They reduce complex lives to black and white failures, making your child feel perpetually inadequate. Take Edward, a 70-year-old retired chef from Atlanta. When his daughter postponed their weekly lunch to help a friend in crisis, Edward lashed out. "You always prioritize strangers over family." His daughter, a nurse juggling shifts and community work, began hiding her commitments to avoid his accusations. "Every no became proof I didn't care," she shared in therapy. "So I stopped saying yes." The rift widened when Edward skipped her graduation, claiming she'd rather celebrate with people who actually matter. Months of silence followed until Edward's brother urged him to reflect. A journal of missed calls and canceled plans revealed an uncomfortable truth. Edward's daughter had tried. He'd just fixated on the gaps. Guided by a counselor, Edward learned to voice his needs without blame. Now, he says, I miss our time together. Could we pick a day each month that works for both of us? His daughter, relieved by the shift, surprised him with a shared cooking class, their first new tradition in years. Absolutes suffocate love. Recognize the efforts your child does make, and you'll uncover more opportunities to grow closer, not apart. Toxic phrase 5. You'll forget me once I'm gone. This phrase, often spoken in moments of loneliness, transforms love into a haunting prophecy. While intended to evoke reassurance, it instead plants seeds of guilt and dread, pushing your child further into emotional withdrawal. Dr. Sarah Nguyen, a gerontologist at Cornell Center for Aging and Family Health, explains the fallout. Invoking abandonment after death doesn't foster connection. It triggers anticipatory grief. Adult children begin associating their parent with anxiety, not affection, and distance themselves to avoid the pain. Eleanor, a 77-year-old retired librarian from Philadelphia, learned this the hard way. Whenever her son, a travel photographer, postponed visits due to work, she'd sigh, "Soon enough, you'll move on like I never existed." Over time, her son began avoiding calls altogether. Talking to her felt like attending a funeral, he admitted. I couldn't handle the constant reminder of loss. The breaking point came when Eleanor refused to attend a family reunion, claiming, "Why bother? You'll all be relieved when I'm not here to nag." Her son didn't argue. He simply stopped inviting her. In therapy, Eleanor confronted her fear of being irrelevant. With guidance, she replaced doom-filled remarks with vulnerability. "I'd love to make more memories together. Could we plan a day this month?" To her surprise, her son suggested a weekend photography trip, a chance to bond over his passion. Fear of being forgotten pushes people away. Focus on building joy in the present, and your legacy will be cherished, not mourned. Rebuilding bonds before it's too late. The weight of unspoken regrets or poorly chosen words can fracture even the strongest family ties. But it's never too late to rewrite the story. Neuroscience reveals that language steeped in guilt or judgment triggers the brain's stress response, conditioning loved ones to associate communication with anxiety rather than warmth. Yet the same science offers hope. Positive, intentional dialogue can rewire these patterns, replacing dread with trust. Change begins with awareness. When loneliness or fear creeps in, pause and ask, am I speaking to connect or to condemn? Replace accusations like, "You always forget me," with vulnerable invitations, "I'd love to see you." What day works best? Celebrate every effort, whether a brief call or a shared laugh. These moments lay the groundwork for deeper connection. Take inspiration from Arthur, the retired mechanic who transformed his strained relationship with his daughter not by demanding attention, but by showing curiosity about her world. His shift from criticism to collaboration led to shared soccer games and Sunday dinners, a testament to patience over pressure. True connection thrives on gratitude, not guilt. Thank your child for the calls they do make, respect the chaos of their modern lives, and create joy through shared experiences, whether swapping stories or trying a new hobby together. Your relationship isn't defined by past missteps, but by the courage to grow. Start today. Choose one phrase to replace, one habit to rethink. The child who once ran to you still exists beneath adult responsibilities. They just need a bridge built from empathy, not expectation. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it. Let's break the cycle of regret together. Like this guide? Subscribe for more tools to heal family bonds, and drop a comment below. What phrase will you replace first? Your courage could light the way for others.